Welcome back to RCTV Podcast. I'm Ali Gonzalez, your host, and I'm excited to be joined by Mr. Venecia.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you all for having me.
And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am the operator of the ChickfilA restaurant right here off the Expressway in Sherryland. We've been there just over 15 years now. So, man, time just flown by. We've had great response from our community, and we're happy to be there.
And just to break the ice, why don't you guys open on Sundays? Why does Chick-fil-A stay closed on Sundays? Wouldn't it affect the profit margins?
Yes, it does, but we also understand that, right? Our team needs a day of rest. We're busy in a restaurant, right? Every day, and it's a stressful environment as busy as we are. So, that one day of rest, it equals a lot in the mind of our team member. Sometimes I drive by and we have a line in our drive-thru, and I guess they're waiting for somebody to answer. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to happen on Sunday.
It just builds that wanting for me to go another day.
Right.
It just increases my wanting to go.
Right.
Okay, and just walk us through a day in your life. Like, what's a day in your life?
It's very different now, right? Because I've been an operator. This December will be 24 years. So when I first started, it was an everyday. I had to tackle that job every single day. I'd go in at 5 a.m. I'd actually start making breakfast until I had team members show up, right? Because we didn't have not much business. And I worked throughout the whole day and would close the restaurant and wouldn't leave the restaurant till midnight, sometimes 1 o'clock, right? And so first month I was an operator, I actually slept in the restaurant 3 nights.
Wow.
I had a 30-minute drive back to my apartment, right? And so I was going to leave at 1 a.m. and have to be back at 5. I figured that's an extra hour of sleep. Right, so I'd slept in the restaurant, but at that point, you do whatever you want to do, or whatever it takes. Right, you own a business. Growing up, that's what I wanted to do: own a business. Right, because I've always said, "Man, I just don't want to work for somebody my whole life." Right, and I like determining my schedule. So early on, it was a lot of work, and it still is to this day. But now I have great people that work for me. Right, very fortunate, great team. A lot of my team members come from your school here, right? So I just have very, very fortunate to have the people that we do, and it's made my life a lot easier.
Like, how does the whole process of the franchise work?
Right, yeah. So Chick-fil-A, a lot of people think Chick-fil-A is in the restaurant business, right? And they are to a certain point, but in reality, they're in the real estate business because they own all our buildings, they own all the land, and we basically pay a royalty back on a monthly basis for that, right? So no, you can't own the land, you can't buy the building. Chick-fil-A does that all up front. So that's kind of how that works. It's a little different.
Talking about royalty, like what percentage of royalty does the Chick-fil-A franchise take from you guys?
On a monthly basis, right?
Yeah, monthly basis.
We pay a 15% royalty, right? And that's based on our entire sales for the month. And that never changes.
Like, that's just the profits, or they take the full revenue without paying for all the expenses?
Yeah, that's on the top of the whole sales, right? So there is no... That's gross. Yeah.
Like, how did you build up to be where you're at, and how does the Chick-fil-A lead program work?
Right. So for me, it was just hard work, and that's what Chick-fil-A is all about. Taking a little pride in the work that you do on a daily basis, right? So I started off, they came to me and said, hey, we just need help for the holidays. When Chick-fil-A used to be in the mall, and I don't know if any of y'all remember, Chick-fil-A used to be in the mall, right? And so they came to me and said, hey, we just need help. I worked at another place there in the mall. And so I said, well, sure. So I went to go work for them, worked in the kitchen. And if you know anything about our kitchen, is you come out looking like a ghost because you're working the coder in the back. Everything that we get is fresh chicken, right? So it's a raw product. So we coat it in the back, and you come out dirty. So that's what I did. And so after 3 weeks, my job was up. They just needed help, right? And so they eventually asked me if I could stay, moved me into a leadership position, and 2.5 years later, Chick-fil-A came to me and asked me if I was interested in a restaurant. So, opportunities with Chick-fil-A, they're there.
And like in today's day and age, because that was over 25 years ago.
Correct.
In today's day and age, how would you get to operate your own Chick-fil-A, and what program, how would you go through a lead program?
Right. So not a lot has changed, right? You still, again, pride in your work, doing the job that needs to get done on a daily basis. But we do have a program, right? A leadership development program that we have. So our team works in our restaurant. And again, they're chosen just because of the work that they do, right? So we get to kind of pick and say, hey, I appreciate the job that you're doing. Is this something that you want to pursue, right, and continue to do? And so we'll develop that person. We train them. We put them in a position where we have, like I said, the leadership development program within Chick-fil-A. So then we send them to our corporate office where they get more specialized training, more detailed training, and then they're put in a position where Chick-fil-A has a restaurant, for example, that might be a corporately owned restaurant. We have an operator that may have relocated to a different location. So that's where they come in, right? So now they're put in a position to become a temporary operator. They work for a corporate office, but it's a 3-year program. They go through this program for 3 years. In that 3 years, they might be at 5 different restaurants. They may be only at 2 different restaurants. But at the end of those 3 years, 98% of the people that come out of that program become operators. And that's kind of the reward for you helping Chick-fil-A, investing that time. You now will become an operator.
Yeah, so what's it called? So a 3-year investment, 98% chance that you get your own restaurant. It's a crazy statistic to
That's
have.
a great deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, invest 3 years of your time, and you're getting paid while you're there, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're doing it for free. And so 3 years of your time, and you can become an operator.
Like someone coming out of high school right now to personally own my business, like what steps do you think are like the most important steps to take?
Education, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, go to school. Chick-fil-A loves for their operators to have degrees, right? And they're not going to dictate what your degree is in. They just want to see that you followed through with something, right? Because college, it's tough, right? And there's not a lot of people pushing you. It's kind of self-motivated to get through college, right? And so that's kind of what they're looking for, right? Get a degree. Always protect your credit, right? That's the one thing that, they're going to ask is, wow, if you can't take care of your money, how are you going to take care of ours, right? So that's the one thing that they do look for is your credit. So that's one thing that I would say be very, very careful with, right? And then, it's going through that program, getting in the program. I have one that hopefully pretty soon will be going through that program. I've had 2 operators come out of my restaurants already that own their own Chick-fil-A's. So I tell people this every day. If I can do it, anybody can do it, right?
Yeah. You just became our Chick-fil-A's fan peeled sponsor, and just take us through why you decided to be our sponsor.
It's all about giving back, right? Re-engagement in the community. When we decide to put a Chick-fil-A in a certain area, we want to be an asset to the community that we're going in, right? And so this is just part of that. It's giving back to, again, the community that gives so much to us.
If you had the chance to go back to being like to your younger self, to my 18 years old, what would you change, or what would you change about the course that you took, knowing what you know now?
Well, knowing now, right, obviously, I tell people every day, there's nothing else that I'd rather be doing, right? Chick-fil-A, it's my life. And so I'm very fortunate that my path took me that way. But again, it was just hard work, right? Taking pride in the work that you do. And sometimes, to be honest, that's one of the struggles that we face at the restaurant, right, is that work ethic. And it's not emphasized enough how work ethic will take you places, right? It'll get you where you want to go. And again, it's pride in your work. It means a lot more than what people think.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being our sponsor. And, just for anyone that's wanting free Chick-fil-A, can you tell them your phone number so that they could just get some free Chick-fil-A?
Sure. My phone number is area code 956-585